After yet another break from UFC action, we are back with UFC Saudi Arabia. We're going to go over every single fight on this card. All of my links are in the description. Check those out if you wish. I'll see you in the first fight. Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady takes on Bolaji Oki. Now, Oki's stepping in on short notice, but he's had some time for this one. It's not like he's stepping in on a couple of days. For this one here, 4-1 in the last 5 for both guys. It is an interesting matchup stylistically. We'll break that down here. Oki, he's a decent striker. He's got good forward pressure, good head movement, and he works his jab extremely well. Counter strikes really well, but his hands will get low as the fight goes on. When he's fighting guys that are going to push that pace on him, that'll drop quicker. He will back up as well because he's looking to counter strike. Like I said, he's got a stiff jab. He's got good head movement. He'll come forward and he'll start throwing those, but if you make him go backward, because it's forward pressure, but also gets backed up, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It does. He wants to come forward until you give him any pressure back, and that's when he resorts to this and starts counter-striking. That's how that works for Oki. It's worked well for him in a lot of fights. There's a couple of fights where it's like, yeah, it didn't work so great, but decent wrestler as well. He can get a good double leg. He's got pretty good takedown defense, but we saw his submission defense is not very good because he didn't even defend that guillotine from Duncan at all. He should have been fine. That was poor. So bad submission defense there. On to Al-Selwady. Al-Selwady, he's a decent striker with a good high guard, comes forward, decent power, but he's kind of limited in his toolbox. He's real basic in what he does, but he's just going to come forward with his hands up and throw shots at you, and he's going to make you work, and he's probably going to get Oki going backwards looking to counter-strike. He is a good wrestler, and I know he likes to strike first, but he'll set up the wrestling with it. He's got a powerful double leg. He'll catch your kicks, and that's an important thing because a lot of times he'll be coming in throwing his punches, coming forward, and he'll get somebody to throw a kick, and he'll grab that kick and get the takedown off of that. Because a lot of times people will throw a kick if they're getting hit up here, and they'll try to throw something to keep somebody back. He'll snag that kick, and he'll take you down. He's got good top control, very heavy pressure to pass. He'll heavy pressure on top, and then he'll use that to get his pass to the next position. Then he'll start working to get to mount. Once he gets to mount, his ground and pound's pretty gosh darn good. He's an underdog here, is Al-Selwady. He's at the full camp. He's been on the card for a while now. Oki's the one stepping in on short notice. Give me Al-Selwady as a dog. Let's take him here to presumably kick off the card. At least it is at the time recording. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you in this one. Interesting heavyweight matchup, to say the least. Hamdy Abdelwahab takes on Jamal Pogues. Pogues is 4-1 in his last 5. Hamdy's 3-0, but there's an asterisk here, and that's because he had more fights that have disappeared off his record. I don't know what's going on. I think some of them were bare knuckle MMA that kind of disappeared. I don't know. It's super weird. I don't know, guys. If you remember, Hamdy did have that. He pulled it through. Actually, I don't know if I had the channel yet at this point. I think I did. Maybe I didn't. But where Hamdy fought in his last UFC fight against Dontel Mays. And your boy was on Hamdy as an underdog. And he got it done for us. But fought for steroids. It was later turned to a no contest. Doesn't matter. Your bet slip still cashes. It's all good. Here he is. He's back. Hamdy's back in the UFC. The Egyptian fighter. I think he's the only one in the UFC. But he's fighting Jamal Pogues. Pogues is pretty good. He's 4-1 in his last 5. Like I said, he's pretty good. But he doesn't do anything exceptional. He's just pretty good. Dude's a decent striker, pretty good volume, a nice clean jab. He's going to just move around and jab you in the face the whole fight if he can. He does drop his rear hand when he throws his jab. Now, not many people at heavyweight are going to make you pay for that. I don't think Hamdy's really going to make him pay for that. But it's there. Somebody at some point is going to make him pay for it. Either way, he's probably going to be the striker that's going to be landing more volume, landing the better shots on the feet. He's a decent wrestler in his own right, but he's a light heavyweight by default. He just kind of got chubby, and now he's at heavyweight. Decent takedown defense, though. Once he's on his back, he doesn't do so good, but he is good on top. He's got good scrambling abilities before he gets flattened out. Good top pressure, and he can slam guys pretty good. At least he could at light heavyweight. I don't know that he's slamming Hamdy. There is that. On the other side, Hamdy Abdelwahab is a solid wrestler. He's wrestled in the Olympics for Iran. Decent. Actually, he's got good takedowns. He's got a decent body lock and trip, and he can slam you as well. Good takedown defense, good top pressure, and good ground and pound. If he starts wrestling, he's probably going to be able to beat Pogues pretty easy there. In the striking, though, he can get sucked into that. He's decent. He's got good power. He's got good forward pressure, but the dude loops his shots, and I think Pogues will pick him up. So it's going to be, do we get striking or grappling? If we get the wrestling, I think Hamdy wins. If we get striking, I think Pogues is going to just outpoint him to a decision. I'm going to take Hamdy, though. Even though he hasn't fought in ages, I'm going to take Hamdy. I'm staying away from this fight. There's too many unknowns. I thought we were going to get an over 1.5 line because they like to do that for heavyweights. We didn't. We got an over 2.5 line, and it's juiced to the gills. So just total pass. Crack open a root beer, enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think. Next, Bogdan Grad takes on Lucas Alexander. Alexander's 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 4-1 for Grad. Grad did have that loss his first time on the Contender Series at 155 pounds, where he got knocked out as a much shorter fighter to Tom Nolan. That is a rough look, but at the same time, he's now at the right weight class, so take that for what you will. Then gets the razor-thin decision over my guy Michael Aswell on the Contender Series. I thought Grad lost the fight. It was close either way. But he's here now, 14-2 on the career, 8-4 for Alexander. He's coming off that loss quite some time back. I believe it was the end of 2023. So he didn't fight in 2024 against Jasudavicius, where he was knocked out in the first round. And if you remember, we called that sucker. So that was a good one. That card was great for us, guys. We called, not only did we call Jasudavicius first round knockout, but we called Jose Johnson third round submission in that same card. It was a legendary card for us. Either way, that was a little case of the member berries there, boys. All right, Lucas Alexander. He's a good striker. He's got good power. He's got nasty kicks. His kicks are his best weapon. He kicks to all levels. His leg kicks are super, super hard. Good counter striking as well, and he's got decent takedown defense. But all in all, we saw him get chin checked bad. He's probably going to be okay from that because, I mean, he's taken over a year off, but it's something to take note of. On the other side, Bogdan Grad, solid striker. He's got a good stiff jab, tight guard, good head movement. Picks his shots really well, which, you know, picking shots, you'll know how it works. If you pick your shots too much, it does result in low volume. I don't think we got to worry about his volume too much. He showed that in the Aswell fight. Sure, he was outstruck as far as volume goes, but he was competitive. Powerful kicks. He's a good grappler as well. The guy can chain his takedown attempts when he needs to. He's got powerful ground and pound. He's extremely opportunistic on the mat, whether it be with a submission attempt or his passing. What I mean by that is if somebody gives him something because they're trying to get back to their feet, he'll use that often to pass and get to a better position, and he's got good takedown defense. The line is weird because Grad was like minus 200 a while back, and now it's like a pick'em, and that's weird because I think Grad should be a favorite. I thought the minus 200 line made a lot more sense. I'm going to take Bogdan Grad. I think he's better. I don't understand why this line got so much closer. Maybe you guys can enlighten me down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you down there. Flyweights, Jasmine Jasudavicius takes on Mayra Bueno Silva. Jasudavicius 4-1 in her last 5, 2-2 in a no contest for Bueno Silva. That no contest was originally a submission win, but drug test for some sort of ADD medicine or something like that. Either way, should probably be 3-2. Whatever. Moving on. Mayra Bueno Silva. She's a good striker. She's got really good forward pressure, good combinations. Her kicks are super, super deadly. Those body kicks, those leg kicks, that's where it's at. She doesn't throw a lot of head kicks, but the body and leg kicks are very good. Good striker, very dangerous. Good jiu-jitsu. She's very active from her back. Her submission arsenal is incredible. The girl can snatch up a sub out of nowhere. But the problem is she does lack open mat takedown, so getting the fight to the mat often depends on her opponent, or if she can drop them with a strike and then fall them to the mat. On the other side, we got Jasmine Jasudavicius, who's a solid wrestler. Very good top pressure. The girl's top pressure is great. She's got good takedown defense, good submission defense, which she's going to need here. Good ground and pound. Super solid ground and pound. We've seen her get it done that way before. And the cage push and the control, that's something that she can go to when she needs it. In the striking, she's just decent, right? She's not super skilled. It's just the volume, durability, and forward pressure that she has makes her seem like a better striker than she is at times because it's just hard to beat her pace. She's got great cardio, and she's able to do it for as long as she needs to. Honestly, this fight is Jasudavicius all day for me. Could Bueno Silva get a sub? Sure. I don't think so, though. I think Jasudavicius is going to be able to put the pace on her. I think she's going to land enough volume on the feet that even if Bueno Silva is landing the better shots, Jasudavicius is going to be competitive, and she's going to be able to get takedowns, stay on top, or push her up against the cage and do what she needs to do. And I think the longer the fight goes on, the more likely Jasudavicius is to get the win. I'm taking Jasudavicius. I think she knocks her out in the late rounds. Not like a knockout, but a TKO, probably ground and pound. Let's take Jasudavicius. Let me know what you guys think. I've really got to switch this one out for the other red marker, but you guys can see it. We got a lightweight matchup. Ziam takes on Mike Davis. Both guys are 4-1 in their last 5 fights. This is a great matchup. There are so many good matchups on this card, guys. This is a good fight card. We're going to start on the Mike Davis side. Dude's a solid striker. He's going to come forward with a lot of pressure, good combinations. He'll change his levels in his combinations extremely well. He'll go high, he'll go low, he'll mix it all together, works the body extremely well, and once he gets to the pocket, he's absolutely nasty. This dude is going to throw basically, he'll throw his knees after his boxing combination. So I should have mixed those around, actually. So he comes in, he throws his boxing combinations, and he'll just drive a knee at the end of the boxing combination. That's a great way to hit somebody hard as they're trying to either duck under a shot, or as you're backing them up, you can drive that knee to the body and crush them against the cage. Also, if they try to exit the pocket, he'll throw a kick and often catch them on the way out, similar to what we saw Ziam do Frivola in that matchup there. But either way, Davis does it well. Okay, Mike Davis is a solid striker. He's a good wrestler too. Dude's takedowns always, or almost always, come at the end of his strikes, which is a way to get takedowns, especially because if somebody's defending strikes, especially if they're head level strikes, their hands are here. Real hard to get all the way down here if the person initiating the takedown is going to have the advantage, because they're going to be the first person to make that move, so they're going to have a head start. If I'm throwing strikes here and I know when I'm going to change from striking to taking someone down, I'm the one that sets that pace and gets that start going. It's going to give you a good, a head start. Let's put it that way. So I like that. Good ground and pound. His takedown defense is good, and he's got a good solid sprawl. Davis is a complete fighter, but he gets injured a lot, and that's a problem for him. He doesn't fight super consistently. That's a big problem. Otherwise, the skills look amazing. On the other side, for Ziam, he's leveled up lately. The dude's a solid striker. He's always been a solid striker, but he's looked even better lately. And in fact, this negative on the volume I have for him, he seems to be fixing that. I still have it there. It might go away after this fight. We shall see. But it's still there. Just, it's a caveat, right? Let's put a little asterisk there, whatever. Maybe it's not as bad as it usually is because he's looked better. But either way, solid combinations, puts his punches and kicks together super well. He's got very good movement. He's accurate, and he's got a super crisp jab. In the striking, he might be cleaner than Davis, but I think Davis is the one that's grittier in the striking. So it's going to be who can implement their game. But like Davis is getting on the inside, landing those shots in the pocket, that's where he's going to win. If it's staying at range, Ziam sticking that jab, throwing those long rangy attacks, Ziam's going to be winning those exchanges there. In the grappling, he's decent takedowns. His defense on the takedowns is but he's got long limbs, so if he does get taken down, he's dangerous off his back, and he's really good at just wrapping guys up because he's a lanky guy. So there is that. Honestly, for me, though, as long as the injuries haven't just mounted up too much, I think Davis wins this fight at a really high clip. I'm taking Mike Davis to get this one done. My marker's dying. There we go. Whatever. Mike Davis is getting the win. Let me know what you guys think. 155-pound matchup here. Terrance McKinney takes on Damir Hadžović. Both guys 2-3 in their last 5. 15-7 versus 14-7. It's good matchmaking. It's kind of a let's see who sticks around, who's out of here type of thing. For Damir Hadžović, the guy's a decent striker. He's got a good front kick. He's got a good high guard, keeps that up, and he's got decent power. So nothing great, but good enough. Decent grappling. He's got pretty good top pressure, good ground and pound. His takedown defense is a bit lackluster, but, it's fine. Long layoff. I mean, this dude hasn't fought since, I'm pretty sure before I even made my channel. And for those of you that have been around a while, channel's been here a decent amount of time. It's been a long time since Hadžović has fought. So realistically, who knows if any of this is even accurate at this point. On the other side, Terrance McKinney. He's a good striker. He's got tons of power, good quick head kick, good combinations. Leaves his chin kind of exposed in these combinations, and his durability has let him down many times in the past. Good wrestling, good takedowns, good back takes, good control, but he's super kill or be killed. And that is a thing that has cost him in the past. Also helped him out in the past. He's won fights that he probably shouldn't have won because he just goes in and goes for the finish. Here's the deal, guys. I really like Terrance McKinney. He was so kind as to invite me on his channel a while back. We did a little fight companion thing for a bit. That was fun. I like Terrance McKinney. I'm going to try not to let that cloud my judgment here. But I think he's just the all-around better fighter everywhere, except for maybe the durability. So I'm going to take Terrance McKinney. And I don't think it's because he invited me on his channel. I don't think. I think he's the better fighter. But would anybody really be surprised if he gets chin checked? I wouldn't. So, taking Terrance McKinney, I'm staying so far away from this fight. He's a big-time favorite. If you gave him to me as an underdog, maybe, but he's not. So, we're staying away. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my assessment, or do you think it's just you can't trust the durability and you got to go the other way? I'd love to hear from you. It's heavyweight. Shamil Gaziev takes on Thomas Petersen. Both guys 4-1 in their last 5 fights. Both guys are what I would say equate to a heavyweight prospect in the division, I would suppose. Both guys did get a setback in their UFC careers, but it is what it is. Now, for Petersen, the guy is 9-2 overall. He's fighting Gaziev, who's 13-1 overall. So both still have good records. Both still have potential to get somewhere in the UFC. When we look at Petersen, he's a good wrestler. His body lock takedown is his best takedown. He gets in, gets that body lock, and drags guys to the mat. When he does so, he can hold them down, but the ground and pound is what he's going to go for, and that's what he wants to do here. Decent striking. His dirty boxing is good. I do like his dirty boxing. Straight punches are all right, and he'll just kind of like tuck his chin and start throwing straights as he just comes in wild, trying to get to the body lock. That I don't like for him. That's a big problem for him. On the other side, Gaziev, good wrestler. He can chain takedowns together, and at heavyweight, that's impressive. good top pressure and good ground and pound. However, his cardio fades bad if he's forced to wrestle. We've seen this many a time. If he wrestles, his cardio will burn out. This was on the regional scene. This is in the UFC. It doesn't matter. It is a thing. Now, it's not that it's just hard to chain wrestle as a 265-pound man. That is just what it is. He can do it, though. So he will probably, I haven't really seen anybody try to wrestle him hard, but, Petersen's probably going to try to do that. I would assume Gaziev's takedown defense is there, but who knows? At the same time, I think he's probably going to be the better wrestler than Petersen in this matchup, but maybe not. But if he tires, he's toast. On the striking, I think he's slightly better. He's got good forward pressure, good power. His hands are low, but he's tough. He's durable. He can take a shot. Even in that Jairzinho fight where he did end up losing and whatever, he didn't go down. Like it wasn't like he got knocked out or anything. He couldn't see, I guess. I don't know. It was strange. He basically got beat up and quit, but he didn't get knocked out or anything. So he can take a punch. You don't have to worry about him just getting clocked and just dropped. I mean, if you're eating shots from Rosenstrike, you can probably eat shots from Thomas Petersen. Gaziev's the pick. I think he's better in this fight than Petersen. But if he has to wrestle too much, I could see him getting tired and Petersen taking the win that way. I am going to take Gaziev, though. I do know that he has enough skill to beat Petersen, and that's what I'm going to trust in this fight. Let me know what you guys think. Featherweight matchup here between Muhammad Naimov, and he's taking on Kaan Ofli. Interesting fight. Both guys 4-1 in their last 5. I got to be honest, this was the last fight that I actually solidified my prediction in because it's a tough one for me. There's a lot of reasons to like both guys in this one. Let's start on the Kaan Ofli side. Actually, real quick, both guys are also 11-3, 4-1 in their last 5. There is the draw on the Ofli side, but the matchmaking here, they're paired up well for a reason. But okay, anyway, we're going to start on the Ofli side. Good striker, right? He got good forward pressure, the good leg kick, good volume, but he does get sucked into brawls. And that's probably not the best move for him here, but, because he's going to be the smaller, shorter, stockier guy. He's probably going to be able to get hit more often, more frequently by the guy that's going to be better at range. But that said, dude can get into a brawl and he can win brawls, but he can also lose a brawl. He does have good grappling. This is where he's best. He's got decent takedowns, but once he gets your back, that rear naked choke is his money winner right there. That's his move. If he can get your back, the rear naked choke is there for Kaan Ofli. That's his best weapon. On the other side, we've got Muhammad Naimov. Good striker as well. Has that like Taekwondo style. Pretty good power, but the kicks at range are his best weapon. And that's why I'm saying like the guy that's going to be shorter and, have that reach disadvantage at range, Naimov's going to be able to land those kicks. So Ofli's going to have to cover distance, which he does do well, forward pressure. But the range control, Naimov's going to have that. But if it gets in close, Naimov's got good wrestling. He's got good takedowns, good top pressure. But the problem is he's got not the best takedown defense. And I could see a guy like Ofli getting the takedown. So it makes me go back and forth on who I think is going to win. Naimov, also a dirty fighter. We've seen this dude cheat his way to victory more than once. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that here. You know what I mean? Say Ofli gets the back. He's going for the rear naked choke. Naimov says, I'm just going to put my hands inside this glove and just pull your hand away. And guess what? He's going to get away with it because you don't get points deducted in MMA for whatever reason, at least not at the UFC level. It's a close fight. It's a tough fight. I'm just going to kick back, put my feet up on the coffee table, and crack open a nice cold root beer as I watch this one. But for me, I'm going to take Muhammad Naimov as the pick. I do make picks on every single fight, so bear with me on this one, but know that this is a low-confidence pick. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. A great bantamweight matchup here. Nurmagomedov takes on Vinicius Oliveira. Couple of, I guess, prospects at this point. I mean, 4-1 in their last 5 for both of them. Very, very skilled fighters. This is a good fight. This is a very fun fight. And I'm looking forward to this one a lot because both guys are going to bring it. Both guys are extremely exciting in their fighting styles. Let's start with Oliveira. Dude's a good striker. Tons of power and a very dynamic attack. If this guy hits you, he can put you to sleep. That is absolutely true. He's got nasty kicks to all levels. His leg kick in particular is very deadly. He does get a bit wild in his punches and keeps his hands kind of low. Those are some interesting things. The wild punches can be a benefit because he can knock you out with those punches coming from the wildest of angles, right? But, the hands low is something that can lead to him getting hit. He's a good grappler as well. Very vicious ground and pound, and his submission arsenal is pretty slick. On the other side, we have Nurmagomedov. He's a solid striker in his own right. He's got a very dynamic attack as well. He mixes up all of his weapons, his punches, kicks, knees, and elbows, everything like that. Super good defense as well. So on the feet, this guy is harder to hit than a lot of the guys in the division, and you don't really notice that at first until you go back and you start looking at the numbers and you think, wow, this guy doesn't get hit a ton. And that's a testament to his range control, really. Controls the range really well. He's got very good kicks. And also his spinning attacks Usually, spinning attacks are one of those like plus-minus things for me. Not here. Saeed's spinning attacks are very good. He uses them to great effect. You don't really see him get out of position or off balance with his spinning attacks ever. So for him, spinning attacks are very good. Good grappling as well. He's got absolutely nasty front chokes. He'll use them as takedown defense. He'll use them just out of nowhere, just like when you're about to get in a clinch and he'll just snatch something up. That ninja choke in particular. Decent takedowns as well, and he's extremely hard to control. Close fight. Really close fight. Both guys can get finishes. Both guys can win a decision here. This is a really good one. Ultimately, I have to side with Nurmagomedov for one big reason, is because we are an extremely close fight here, and I think if it goes to the judges in an extremely close fight, Nurmagomedov's getting the nod. So we're taking Saeed here, but this is a tough one to pick, tough one to bet on. The odds have gotten a lot closer as the fight's gotten close. So let me know what you have. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Some heavyweight strikers in this one. Sergei Pavlovich looks to get back on track. He's taken on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who has turned back a couple of prospects in recent memory. When we look at these two, they're both 3-2 in their last 5. At this point in their careers, this is a great matchup. I love the stylistic matchup. I love the where both guys are at kind of thing. So it's a good fight. I love this fight. I think this is a good heavyweight fight, and that's rare in the UFC. Oftentimes, heavyweight fights are kind of bad. But we've got Jairzinho Rozenstruik, right? Like, he's a good striker, very good striker. In fact, I would say he's a solid striker. His Muay Thai background is interesting because his style isn't like traditional Muay Thai, I would say, but it works for him. He does a good job with his striking. He has pretty good power. I mean, he's a heavyweight. What do you expect? He's got good combinations. His leg kicks are super heavy. He's got a very good power jab, and not many people use a power jab effectively. Rozenstruik does. He counter-strikes really well. There's two things that do give me pause about a guy like Rozenstruik. His volume can be super hit or miss, and sometimes when he goes to throw heavy, you'll see him really overextend and be off balance. Like, he'll be leaning forward like this, throwing a punch. I know he's a high-level striker, but sometimes he does that. Go back and watch the fights. If you don't believe me, I swear it's there. Things like that do give me a worry because he's fighting a guy in Sergei Pavlovich who has a more limited toolbox. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to see Pavlovich going out there throwing a lot of wild kicks or anything like that, but he's going to come forward. He's got big, big power. Like this dude, if he hits you, you're probably going to sleep. If he lands flush anyway. Got good volume. He's got good boxing combinations and deceptive range. This dude's got like an 84-inch reach or something ridiculous like that. So for Pavlovich, he needs to wait inside the pocket. He needs to get in there, come forward and start landing those shots. Even though he's got good range, I think if he stays all the way out, a guy like Rozenstruik, who's kind of tricky as a heavyweight striker, can start landing that power jab, like I said. But if Pavlovich is able to get past that power jab and land one of his own, he's probably going to knock out a guy like Rozenstruik. So it comes down to, do you think Rozenstruik can stay safe for 3 rounds and win that way? Yes, he could knock out Pavlovich. Don't get me wrong. Pavlovich has been knocked out before. Aspinall did it rather quickly. But do you think that Rozenstruik can stay safe and land his shots? Absolutely he could. He could hit those leg kicks, hit the power jab, counter strike, whatever. Or does Pavlovich get inside and get the knockout shot? I'm going to give him one more shot at that because I know he's coming off of 2 losses in a row. Those are darn tricky losses, right? He lost to Tom Aspinall. Okay. Aspinall is the real champion. I don't care what anybody says. That makes sense. Aspinall's knocking out everybody. It's not like anybody's doing any better than Pavlovich, really. So there you go. I guess except for Blades that time when Aspinall blew out his knee. Doesn't count. Not my point. And then he lost to Volkov, who also just beat Cyril Gane, even though the judges thought otherwise. So, I mean, like, Volkov's probably in the top 5 of the division, I would say, rightfully. Probably not on, the UFC rankings because he got robbed. But either way, Volkov's one of the better strikers in the division as well. Also a guy that trained with Pavlovich, kind of knew where he was weak. So there are some caveats with the losses. I think Pavlovich is getting this one done, but I'm not mega confident in it. I don't know how his confidence is going into this either. He seemed a little shook after that Volkov loss. So as a big favorite, it doesn't really make me want to back him. But let me know what you guys think. I'm taking Pavlovich. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. We have made it to our co-main event of the evening, and it's a middleweight matchup between a couple of strikers here. Yes, I said middleweight. MVP Michael Venom Page is taking this fight at middleweight. He is a welterweight. He's going to be a welterweight going forward by his own words, but he's taking this fight because he likes the matchup against Nurmagomedov. It's a couple of strikers. Makes sense that he likes this matchup. Now, for Nurmagomedov, the dude is 15-0, 5-0 in the last 5, obviously. 30 years old. He's an up-and-coming prospect, a guy that the UFC really likes. He's taking on the veteran, the aging veteran, 37 for MVP. Michael Venom Page, coming from Bellator, did a lot of good work over there. Only 3 losses in his entire career. So that's kind of impressive. I mean, the guy's had a long career, 25 professional MMA fights. Looking pretty good, right? He's still at 37 looking competitive. He may have lost to Ian Gary, but that was a competitive fight. Ian Gary's the type of guy that can make it competitive with anyone, including guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov, things like that. So, MVP still looking competitive at 37, but it is a time where you're thinking, okay, at any point, this dude could drop off. Either way, he's also a welterweight, and he's now coming up to middleweight. So keep that in mind. This is a one-off, too. It's not like he took the time to bulk up to middleweight, all that, which realistically, I don't think bulking up would actually help him in a matchup where he needs his speed, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's break this down. Like I said, 5-0 versus 3-2 in the last 5. For MVP, we're going to start here. He's a solid striker. You don't need me to tell you that this guy's striking is elite. He is very, very good with his kicks, his awkward movements, things like that. He can kick off either leg, and he can kick to all levels. He can just take whatever. He has that like kind of point karate style stance, and he can take that leg either off the front or the back and snap that kick to wherever he needs to put it, and it's quick. It's really quick. He's got a lot of speed, good movement. He can just dart in and out, boom, boom, land his shots, get back out at range. He has punches that come from really odd angles because his hands are down low. Sometimes he'll make you look low and then hit you with something up high. Sometimes he'll make you look high and then hit you with something down low. He's really good at manipulating where his opponent's looking. That's going to be interesting for Nurmagomedov with only the one eye thing going on. So there is that as well. He counter-strikes better than most people. He's extremely good at forcing his opponents to low-volume situations. Ian Gary landed, around 20 strikes or something like that against him? 20 strikes in a win. So it's one of those things where because he's so dangerous with his striking, he makes opponents afraid to throw. And if he can do that to Nurmagomedov here, that's going to be tough for a guy who is also a striker to be able to win on the optics. However, we are in Saudi Arabia. There is a guy that's going to be more favored in the arena. Let's put it that way. So either way, he's going to be able to force low volume out of most opponents. I assume he can do that here if he can do it to guys like Ian Gary. He does keep his hands low, but it's only a negative because it's not really a negative for this guy because he's got great head movement. It is a negative just because by default, keeping your hands down here can result in some bad stuff, especially when you got guys throwing double spinning back fists or something like that. You know what I mean? But either way, MVP, his striking should hold up. Neither guy's really shooting takedowns. If somebody's shooting takedowns, it's probably Nurmagomedov, which is crazy to say. But MVP's got pretty good takedown defense, like solid takedown defense. On the other side, for Nurmagomedov, dude's a solid striker, right? He's very good with his kicks as well. His volume of his kicks is high. He doesn't throw his punches as often as his kicks, but he does have a good volume of kicks. Good variety of kicks. Combinations. Puts his punches and kicks together pretty well. That's another thing that is going to be different in their styles. Nurmagomedov's going to throw more combinations, whereas MVP is going to throw like single shots or like maybe 1-2 at a time. He's not putting together longer combinations. Nurmagomedov will try to put together longer combinations. I don't know that that's going to work in this fight particularly because of who he's fighting, but he is more likely to put together longer strings of strikes, right? He does spin often, which is good and bad. We saw it work out really well for him in his last fight. It could be a really good thing here. You know, it could kind of throw off the rhythm of a guy like MVP, or it could end up being bad for him. Not likely to wrestle. If anybody wrestles, like I said, it would be Nurmagomedov, but even then, I don't think he's likely to. He's not a wrestler. I just don't think MVP is ever going to shoot a takedown. That's just kind of what I'm figuring. But for Nurmagomedov, I just don't imagine he's grappling. This is going to be a striking fight. And if you're going to give me MVP as an underdog in a striking matchup, I got to take him. So I got to take MVP. The way that, I understand Kevin Holland isn't like someone to really gauge as like a great fighter, but the way that MVP just beat the brakes off of Kevin Holland and made him look like he didn't belong in the UFC, which is arguable at times, but the way that he did that makes me think he can at least beat Nurmagomedov. The way that he kept that fight really competitive with Ian Gary in a matchup where Gary had to go to the grappling and really sell out for it to beat him makes me think MVP still has enough in the tank to beat a guy like Nurmagomedov. So we're taking MVP. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. We have made it to the main event, folks. If you are still watching, thank you guys. I appreciate it. You've been sticking around the whole video. That is awesome. If you just jumped to the main event, well, that's cool too, I guess. Do me a favor, though. Like the video, because obviously if you're still here, you've probably been enjoying yourself. I appreciate it very much. We got a main event between Israel Adesanya and Nasruddin Imavov in the middleweight division. Great fight between a guy in Imavov who is coming up as a prospect, doing his thing, getting the wins. He's fighting Adesanya, who's been there for a while. This guy's been in the champion. He's been beating the who's who, you know? He has some losses lately, but they're to the top guys. So when we look at this, Imavov, he's 3-1 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. The no contest was with Chris Curtis. It was a headbutt. It was definitely a headbutt. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it was definitely a headbutt. 2 and 3 in the last 5 for Adesanya. Those 3 losses, you're like, man, 3 losses in his last 5? It's to the 2 guys who are fighting for the title next, which is Sean Strickland and DDP, and then also Alex Pereira, who is the champion of the division above. So, you know, it's top-level competition. So, and Imavov hasn't beaten any of those guys either. He also lost to Strickland. It's what it is, okay? So, the competition between the 2, it's hard to really get a gauge on where each guy is at in their career. So we're going to try to go off the skills, and that's tricky here because we don't know exactly what we're going to get from Adesanya because he is getting to that point where you're starting to wonder, okay, is this the point where he starts to dip? We'll find out. We're going to find out a lot this week. This fight card is going to tell us where Adesanya is at in his career. But let's start on the Imavov side, right? Dude's a solid striker. He's got good footwork. He comes in and out of the pocket pretty quick. Uses that footwork to do, you know, a good job of controlling where the fight is, which is interesting because both guys are going to want to do that. He's extremely accurate as Imavov. He's got good counter striking. He's got very good combinations, but he keeps his hands low. And I think a lot of that is for his takedown defense. And it's basically because off of his back, he's not very good, but he can offensively wrestle all right. Off his back, he's not too good. Like I said, he's got a good sprawl, though, so he can prevent himself from being taken down. Decent offensive takedowns, and he's got pretty good ground and pound. The thing for Imavov, though, dude's a dirty fighter. I don't care what you say. Dude cheats in a lot of fights, and he will just blatantly do it. It works out for him most of the time. He hasn't really had to pay for it yet, but it's one of those things where if you cheat too much in certain matchups against guys like Adesanya, who the UFC really likes, maybe you start getting those points deducted. Probably not here in the Saudi Arabia. I know that Imavov is French, but he's got the OV for the name, so you know maybe you get the ref to look the other way. I don't know. Either way, maybe I'm just being a conspiracy theorist. But for Imavov, very good striker. He does have a bit of wrestling in the back pocket, but like I said, defensively it's not great either. On the other side, we got Israel Adesanya. He's also a striker, right? So he's got super high-level striking, very elusive on the feet. This guy controls range better than just about anybody, at least at the middleweight division, I would say. He's excellent with his reaction time. The guy cuts off the cage extremely well. He can fight out of either stance, counter strikes with some of the best of them. That counter, when he's fighting Pereira in the fight where he actually gets the knockout, he's up against the cage. He's looking for his shot, block, you know, eating a few, and then boom, picks that shot, puts him out. That was excellent. The dude can be an absolute sniper when he needs to be. So very good there. Extremely accurate. And his kicking arsenal is probably better than anybody in the division, I would say, actually. Probably anybody at middleweight. He's really good at mixing in different styles of kicks. You know, the leg kick, you know, the jab leg kick at Adesanya that was winning, you know, championship fights for a long time. But he also has some other options. He can work his teep kicks really well. He's got a good question mark kick, things like that. Good takedown defense as well. His sprawl is also very good. Off of his back, he is better about working to his feet than Imavov is. So I do think if Imavov gets a takedown, Adesanya will have the ability to get back to his feet. It's just how many times can he do that? That is the question. We saw DDP being able to beat Adesanya with the grappling, although Adesanya looked like he was up on the scorecards at the point of the finish. So tough fight to call. For me, I am worried that this is the downfall of Adesanya as far as my pick, because I'm going to pick Adesanya. I think he's the better striker, and I don't think that Imavov is going to be able to wrestle the entire 5 rounds and beat Adesanya that way. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is a fight where Adesanya is going to be just a little bit too much for Imavov. I don't think he's quite championship level. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he's top 10 level. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's quite championship level, and I think Adesanya still is championship level. So we're going to take this real Adesanya to get the win. But folks, let me know who you have in the comments below. This is going to be a fight where I think a lot of people are going to be on either side. I'd love to hear from you. So I will see you guys down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Catch you down the road.